Hello everyone, this is Baka&Co. I'm Frankfurter, that is Magically Average, and today we are going to talk about anime in the mainstream. It goes upon different topics, whether it's celebrities in the mainstream talking about it, the acceptance of anime in the mainstream and not being bullied as hell like we were back, 10, 15 years ago plus, and just so much more. But before we get to all of that, Magically Average, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Doing well. It's getting closer to a big day and getting closer to an even bigger day. I'm gonna let you decipher which ones I'm referring to, and I'm not gonna make it apparent which one I'm more excited for, even though it should be obvious. Uh,
Yeah.
but for all you listening, I'm getting married on April 1st, and then taking my wife and I will be taking our honeymoon to Japan for 2 weeks. So.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I know which one you are more excited for. But
I think, well, thankfully, I think we're both in the same boat where we've done her doing the most though. I've done a lot for this wedding in terms of like just arts and crafts style stuff, getting like doing our own home brew things for like decorations and whatnot, putting everything together. Like we don't have a wedding planner, so we're doing it most of it on our own. And it's like it's great. Once it happens, it's gonna be awesome, but we're both in the same mindset of like when the Friday before our wedding rolls around, we are turning brains off, shutting down, and just partying hard, and then going into Japan and fucking doing nothing, just exploring. So,
well, don't party too
yeah.
hard the day before your wedding because you don't want to show up to your wedding just hungover as fucking shit.
No, not the day before. The day before is the day where we can actually like breathe out, like exhale, and go, oh, okay, it's done. Now we
Like,
just have to get through the ceremony, and then we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. So, but yeah, that's what's coming up. So if you guys don't hear from me for a while, and it's Frank and some other weirdos, just know that I'm off gallivanting around the beautiful country of Japan.
yeah, and I think I just saw that the sakura season has just started. Like, they just started blooming, so it's like,
Yes.
you
So
lucky
it's
son of a bitch.
yeah, it works out perfectly. Well, and we timed it actually. It was funny enough. Our this is going really sidetracked for the beginning, but that's fine. We planned our wedding around when we wanted to take our honeymoon to Japan.
Mhm.
Because originally it was going to be a week before, so it was going to be this upcoming weekend, but our venue didn't have that available. So they're like, "Well, what about April 1st?" And we both looked at each other like, "Well, it has to be April Fool's Day. Like
Yeah,
that's it's got
100%.
to be." Yeah, and then we were looking online. And we're like, okay, according to the predicted blooming forecast for Japan, which they do have it online, like they have forecasts every year of when they anticipate the blooming season to begin across all the different regions of Japan because it does differ. There it was like, okay, Tokyo will be at the end of its blooming period, but Kyoto is like right in the middle of it by the time we get to Japan. So like we were like, okay, we're gonna get to Tokyo. We're gonna take the bullet train down to Kyoto right away. The next day, we're going to a cherry blossom festival, like there, and then we're gonna hop back to Tokyo. And then like we had it all planned out way months in advance. But then now things keep rolling out where they're like, we're opening up our festival for this particular area after 4 years of hiatus. And then yeah, now it's like, oh yeah, the cherry blossoms were a little delayed, but now they're blooming. So we're like, oh God, the stars are aligning. Finally, something happens that doesn't fucking make our brains explode.
Yeah, that's
Like
gonna be a
it's finally
madhouse
going our
though,
way.
going to that festival, but it's gonna be a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, the whole season we're there. I mean, everything online is like, don't go to Japan in April. It's the busiest and craziest time. And I'm
It's
like,
also the
well,
most expensive time.
yeah, well, I can tell you one thing. When I went for school, I looked up the exchange rate because I was interested. You want to know what the exchange rate was when I went to for 1 month? I was in Japan when I was in law school. 1 month, which was 5 years ago now. Five and a
Was
half years ago.
it like about in 92 yen to a dollar?
No, it was still above 100, but it was 100
Okay.
like 103, 104,
Is it like, isn't
right?
it like 130
It's
right now?
130 right now, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is significant.
Yeah.
It is really significant. So, I mean, like relatively speaking, it's like the most expensive, but we're avoiding like all of the super touristy things, and we're doing more of like the cultural stuff for the most part. We're doing like Tokyo Disney and Universal, because we're like, we have to, we're there. But other than that, we're not doing like the very touristy, high traffic areas. We're gonna try to just avoid those as much as possible, pop in and out, but mostly just explore the quieter areas, because that's what I like. And we're sort of the same in that we both don't like people that much, and we'd rather just avoid at all costs and do our own thing.
You damn
So
otaku. But
yeah, I know we're weird.
so back to the topic at hand for today,
Yes.
anime in the mainstream. I mean, we could even
Yeah.
talk about anime in your wedding. Do you think will you have anime references and such in your wedding?
Oh yeah.
This was a
yeah.
rhetorical question. I knew that it was a yes. I just don't know what.
Well, you're not gonna know until the wedding. And I'm not gonna tell
This is
you.
true. Yeah. I don't want to
But-
ruin that surprise for myself because I am excited for that. But I figured like anime has become just this kind of cultural phenomenon in the United States in which it's being widely / more wide accepted. I don't know. I
Widely
can't think of
accepted,
the
yeah.
more widely
I was
accepted.
following.
Yeah. And which, like, you know, people having their weddings or people just going out and shopping and wearing anime merch, like, it's being more accepted by a lot of other people and especially celebrities nowadays. And I feel like our generation, there were just a bunch of closet anime fans who have now become celebrities that are like, oh yeah, anime's cool. Like, whether it be DBZ, whether it be One Piece, whether it be, you know, Jujutsu Kaisen, etc., etc. Like, it is a like cultural phenomenon now in which a lot of people are getting into it. And it's kind of like how 10 years ago Marvel became such this huge thing and comic books became more widely accepted and you can wear comic book themed things and people are like, I know what that is, and strike up a conversation about it. So it's just interesting to see the just kind of juxtaposition between 10 to 15 years ago till now. I think one of my favorite, I guess, celebrities or things that make me like warm and fuzzy whenever I see it, and they reference it, I'm like, God damn it, they are the coolest person ever. I still think my favorite celebrity that references and loves and watches anime is Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis, whenever like she goes to the red carpet, people ask her about her fandom of One Piece. And she'll know like a majority of the information. Granted, you know, there's like a bunch of fucking, you know, characters, and she may have to have like a reminder here and there, but like wildly, she knows a lot about One Piece. And whenever I mean, I know Netflix is doing an adaptation. I know she can't really play too many characters that are in the show now, but like I remember back maybe 5-10 years ago, whenever they were talking about One Piece, she was like, yes, put me in there. I want to do this. Like,
yeah.
It's so, I don't know. It's kind of heartwarming to see some of these celebrities in their fandom of anime and just what different shows that they watch, because one would look at Jamie Lee Curtis and you'd be like, would have never expected One Piece. But I don't know. It's kind of nice. I mean, what are some of your favorite, I guess, celebrities or, you know, mainstream type of anime things that are widely acceptable now or you see people talking about?
Oh god, that's first off, way too many questions that are not all deserve their own answer. But
True.
instead of answering any of them, I'm gonna start on my own point first and then make my way back. So
Fair enough. You go for it.
like,
Take us on a walk.
to the larger question, or not even a larger question, but the proposition of like anime being more mainstream now. I think, and you drew a great analogy to like Marvel and DC and, you know, comic book superheroes, is that over the last, I would say probably 20 years, realistically, you have had more opportunities and more people venturing off into those hobby areas that we just didn't see prior. And I think it's a combination of like having the means and the funds to do so, to have those projects, whether it's like a movie or it's like a new video game series or whatever, right? Like now we have more people who, as you know, kids or growing up or whatever, were a part of that, you know, hobby group, clique, however you want to call it, that are like, you know what, I'm going to showcase just what this, you know, my interests are like. And it's, you know, you had great movies like the Batman movies, Spider-Man, Superman. You had all of the Marvel movies that came out starting
Iron
with,
Man.
I think, yeah, Iron Man, and then just spiraling out of control from there. So it's partly just the fact that we now have the means to have those big projects, I think. And we also have the means to consume more and more products too. Like we've got streaming sites, we've got a plethora of ways to purchase goods online now that we didn't really have 20 years ago, 20, 25 years ago, right? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a thing to even think of really shopping online outside of like books. Like that was really it. Like Amazon started off as a bookstore. Like you bought books. That was it.
Yep.
So like, the ability to purchase those media, the different types of medias online made it more accessible as well. And that's where I get into my point about anime. And we've talked about this countless times before, but anime saw a huge transformation when streaming became more accessible. Like, and I'm not talking like when Netflix first dropped, because when Netflix first dropped, it was very limited and they were effectively just like a more streamlined version of Blockbuster and Family Video because you could order the DVDs and they would ship them directly to you and then you would ship it back. It wasn't like Netflix dropped out and they were like, bam, here's all of your favorite TV shows on your fucking computer. Whoa, this is new age. It was like, no, you had to still kind of rent them, but we mailed them to you.
I'm pretty
And then
sure they still do that, by the way.
They probably do. Yeah, it's just no one does it. No one. I bet there's been a precipitous drop in people even having Blu-ray players outside of maybe gaming consoles, right? Like standalone Blu-ray players now in the U.S. But like, because everyone just streams. You can stream on your phone, tablet, computer, TVs. Like, I bet you can fucking stream on. Well, you can stream on your Nintendo Switch now. Like, there's countless things you can find out there that will allow you to just stream whatever you want at this point. So that alone gave people access to different media, and one of the main ones was anime. Because growing up, I'm sure it was the same for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I only watched anime on Toonami, on Cartoon Network, Saturday nights. It was the only time I watched anime. Like as a kid, like I didn't have an allowance to go out and get like DVDs, and I wasn't even like I didn't even think about doing that to begin with because I was like, I didn't know where you could get this stuff. It wasn't like I could go to Best Buy really, and they would have like my favorite DVD of whatever anime I was watching. Plus,
Yeah.
I was too young. I didn't know that. So like I only watched it on Toonami.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
I had a couple other places where I watched it. So, as a kid growing up, I remember playing for the PS2 Dot Hack, and with every Dot Hack game you bought, they had a DVD for the anime, in which I think the first one had like the first 2 to 4 episodes or something like that, maybe the first 3 episodes of the TV show on there. So that kind of got like my foot in the door for like buying anime because like it came with the video game. But I remember, I mean, growing up, my uncle worked in Japan, so I was a little bit more accustomed to seeing these type of things. But we had like the VHS for My Neighbor Totoro and Castle in the Sky, and then eventually got the DVDs. But like the only place that I can remember growing up being able to buy like a DVD for anime was like FYE or Fry's. Those were the only 2 stores that I actually remember actually selling anime in DVD format.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, again, limited places, but to that point as well, though, at least for me, back in the day, and this goes to that one of your other questions before, you also didn't want to be the person going out and buying the anime DVDs.
This is also
Because
true.
anime was kind of viewed as like a wow. Like first off, it's like wow, you watch cartoons, weird. But then it's like wow, you watch Japanese cartoons, those cartoons, that's even weirder. I don't really think I should associate myself with you. Like that's how people were. Like when we were growing up, it was like and it was probably just a product of the fact that it was so hard to find that if you had the means to find it or you like went out of your way to search for it and find it, you were like, oh, you're like a weirdo. Like you can't just watch normal TV. Right.
Yeah.
Like it was cool to watch like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon because those were on broadcast. Like
Those
were
were
for
on
me were like
WB Kids.
Yeah, WB Kids. Yep. Well, go home from school and it was Pokemon and then Yu-Gi-Oh! and then I think I switched over to Cartoon Network, and it'd be like Teen Titans and stuff like that. That, that was normal. Like that was okay. But if you were like, oh, I go home and I watch like Dragon Ball Z, or I go home and I watch Cowboy Bebop, it's like, you're one of those, huh? One of
Mm-hmm.
those things. You're not even a person anymore. You're just like a thing. Ugh, gross. Like that's how it was, because it was a combination of a lot of things. Like it was just not having the easy access, so you had to go out of your way to find it. And just it was kind of like a clicky thing at growing up too. It's like you had the sports guys, you had the nerdy guys, you had the gamer guys, you had the cool guys, and then anime didn't really fit into any category. So if you were like I like anime and I like manga, it's like the comic book kids and the nerds didn't accept you because you're like, ew, gross. Obviously, you weren't going to get accepted by like the cool guys or the sports guys. So it's like you had no category that you fit in too growing up. So it was a weird time.
Yeah.
And then now it's like if you don't watch anime or if you don't know about anime, you're the weirdo now. So it's gone a whole like 180. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to be like, it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. And it doesn't really matter what you think, because that's the whole reason why, people back then got bullied for the way, for what they liked, is because people had opinions one way or the other. So just accept it. It is what it is. Whether you think it's a good thing or not, don't care. Shut up. It is very refreshing though to see that like more media from like our childhood and more media that's not what was once not considered mainstream is becoming sort of popular amongst a number of different groups of people.
Yeah.
Right? You have celebrities like Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael B. Jordan, who are big like anime fans. You've got artists like Megan the Stallion, who's big into anime as well, like talks about anime in her songs. You've got athletes like Jamal Williams, running back for I think the New Orleans Saints now.
Yeah.
Yes,
No.
he's with the Saints now.
Is he? Did he get
Was
traded?
with the Packers, went to the Lions, now he's with the Saints.
Hmm.
Yeah. Wow, you don't know your sports, fucking
I didn't
nerd.
think he got traded in the
I'll beat you
offseason.
up. Meet me at 3:15 by the flagpole. I'm gonna beat you up. You
Yeah,
nerd.
you're right. He is on the Saints now.
Sports.
I didn't realize he got traded. So whatever.
Yeah. Like he's big into anime too, and like in Pokemon and video games and stuff. Like it's really really cool to see, because it's interesting to see people in like those professions being like, no, I like anime. Right? Like Henry Cavill like is a super nerd, builds his own PCs, plays Warhammer, plays D&D, I think. Like super nerd. He's fucking Superman.
Mm-hmm.
He's fucking Superman and he's a nerd. Like that's great.
Him
And then,
building a PC, that video still just is like, it makes me so happy. It makes me so unbelievably happy.
It is fantastic. And then, the other great benefit too is that it shows kids growing up nowadays that, hey, if it's okay to like more than just one thing. Like you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into like I'm a jock, I'm a sports guy, and then you have to like absorb that identity, and that's only who you can be, right?
Right.
Like no, you can be the sports guy and the nerd, and if you want to, the gamer or the weeb or the whatever, goth, doesn't matter, music freak, music junkie. Literally, the you do not have to fit yourself into one identity or one personality trait.
Yeah,
Like
no
it
need to
is a
pigeonhole
very
yourself.
yeah, it's completely fluid, right? It's not rigid by any means, like it was. That's how people perceived it when we were growing up. It was like you were a part of the cool kids, the jocks, the nerds, whatever. Like I personally was like, I kind of was like the black sheep throughout all of my early years growing up, because I played hockey my whole life. I was also a nerd because I did well in school and I studied after school, and I I was good. I was a good student. I was also the gamer. I played like Nintendo 64 and all my handheld Nintendo games growing up. My Xbox 360, my PlayStation 2. Like I was a gamer all throughout my childhood as well. And then I was like the anime cartoon nerd too. I collected Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I watched Toonami late at night on Saturday. Like I did everything.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think you and I were both like in the category of a little bit of everything. We played sports,
yeah,
we listened to music, we watched a shit ton of anime, or we did whatever
yeah. I was in
anime
band.
wise.
I played trumpet and a guitar.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
so
whole bunch of stuff. But it's really nice to see though, anime being one medium across a number of ones that have now become more popular, right? In terms of like comics now,
yeah,
and that's not just manga, like Western comics as well. Like there's a whole bunch of hobbies and interests that were once sort of like blacklisted by society are now becoming more mainstream and more, I don't even want to use this word, but like quote unquote normalized by
yeah,
culture, by our culture. And it's great. It's a huge revolution. And I think it's a little bit, delayed, but it's great to see how much traction it's getting now. And I'm sure we're only seeing the start of it. I'm terrified and excited at the same time about our younger generations growing up. And I like having a doctor come up to me with like a Pokemon mask on, being like, "All right, you ready to proceed?" And then like dabs, does a Fortnite dance in front of me, and then I go pass out from the anesthesia. Like I'm a little worried about that piece, but it's really good for the media industry in general, but specifically like for anime and manga and like Japanese media becoming more and more popular here in the United States.
yeah. And I think one of the big kind of reasons why it's a little bit more quote unquote normalized or widely accepted compared to 5-10 years ago, whatever you want to call it. I mean, even hell, 15-20 years ago. I think a giant bit of it is also social media, in which you can connect to every other person who is a fan of this and be like, okay, I am not alone on this. There are other people out there that are like me, and I can confide in them. We can discuss this, etc. I think with the evolution of social media and now TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, etc., people are making more videos using anime references, just blatantly, just like kind of just throwing in clips or whatever of funny moments or just aesthetic scenery that's been drawn. Like the amount of times I've seen clips from Your Name just used for like music videos on TikTok or whatever is just
Oh yeah.
insane. Like the
Like Wonder
aesthetic.
Egg Priority. Yeah, like
Yeah,
all of the really pretty scenery stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of it is used just to like showcase music now. And I mean, even I think it's is it David Porterson? Who's the EDM artist? It's not David. Porter Robinson. God, I'm terrible. Porter Robinson made a song and hired a studio to do an anime uh music video for it, and it's one of the best music videos I've ever seen. Like it has been so widely accepted um throughout just kind of our nation, which is kind of nice. But I think has a lot to do with social media and the fact of just like you post about it and somebody else finds it and likes it and you talk about it. I will
Yeah.
say social media is also a bad thing for anime and that fandom and everything, because there are so many fucking toxic trolls that just mouth breathe and have one show and they stick by the one show, and if you're not on their same one wavelength or brain cell, fucking you're the devil and they hate you and you're going to hell. Like it's also bad in that regard, but that's also just every other fandom that can be applied to so many other things. But I feel like anime, it is wildly more out of control than some other fandoms.
I think it's just because the sheer amount of anime that's out there, right? Like the library of anime. I mean, it's the same with like movie critics, comics book, fans, things like that, where everyone has a very strong opinion one way or another, and it comes out there on social media. That's a given. Again, I still view that even as being a positive in that it shows that people are more willing, granted not being done in the best of manners, but it's being discussed more and more online, which means that it's becoming more acceptable for people to talk about it just in general. right?
Yeah.
Like the toxicity and the gatekeeping and all that. Yeah, that's bad. We're not here denying that by any means, but it is in in hindsight, it's a good thing just because of the fact that people feel more comfortable to talk about it in the open versus, like you were saying before, kind of on chat forums that are off in the distant realms of the internet, that only people who watch anime know about. People aren't going to go out of their way just to go find those sites if they don't like anime. Like nowadays, people are talking about it on everything: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. People are using it for dating profiles. It's just a part of everything. And the one thing I want to talk about too, with how anime is just becoming a part of everything too, is how it's not limited to just like media and social media and things like that. It extends far beyond that. And a great example of an anime that has shown how far anime can reach into the markets is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I know I talk about it a lot,
Yes, you
but
do.
but for valid reasons. Okay,
I'm not saying they are.
it's a fantastic anime, but it's also something that's been adopted by so many different like areas within, like, that we consume, like things that we consume. Like it's permeated so many different things that most people would find unimaginable for an anime to do. Like JoJo's, I'm going to go through a quick list. It's not going to cover everything, but like, to talk about brands that have collaborated with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure to produce products based off of characters from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are Bradelli's New York, Bulgari. There's Glamb. I don't know what that is. Gucci has had one. I know Godiva also has done like an anniversary chocolate box set for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Classic.
There's also a bunch of festivals they've done around the world. Vans had a special shoe release for Golden Wind. Converse as well did something. They've had suits from a luxury clothing brand, Perfect Suit Factory, that did JoJo's Bizarre Adventure themed suits. Let's see. What else? Lumine, Onofre. Some of these brands are international. Psycho did a great collaboration for watches for the Golden Wind. Like, recognizable, notorious brands have teamed up, put their name out there with an anime.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, a couple of years back would be like, you're like, oh, you just destroyed your brand. You're done. You're done. It's over. You're
Unless
done.
it was like Dragon Ball Z or One Piece or Sailor Moon.
But it's, yeah, and it depends on the brand too. But to go out there and be like, hey, Gucci, I have a proposition for you. I want you to collaborate with a show. Okay, what show? It's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I've never heard of it. It's an anime. I'm gonna stop you right there. If you don't leave this room right now, I'm going to castrate you. Like, that's what the meetings would have been like 5 years ago. But now it's like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, from the art and the body movements and everything like that. I mean, how many people do like JoJo poses? It's in video games. They put the fucking torture dance from Golden Wind in Destiny 2 as a dance.
Yeah,
They
true.
put dances in from different poses into Fortnite and stuff. Like, anime has had such a huge impact on a number of different media that it's astounding at this point to just say, like, wow, I anime really has like come this far. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Anime has finally made it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Japan, it's been like a normalcy for years and years and years. But like in Western society now, it's like, no, anime, it's here. It's here to stay. It's not like a fad from the COVID era where people like started to go nostalgic and watch things from the past. Like, no, it's here. It's growing exponentially as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of just the start of it.
And I mean, even
Like,
from what we've seen internationally, it seems to be growing in Japan as well. I mean, every week a new anime movie comes out in Japan, and it's like, all right, this is Japan's now 20th highest grossing movie of all time. And it's just like, what in the ever living fuck? And I'm pretty
and
sure
obviously-
that anime is like they have like the top grossing movies of all time with like Your Name and
One Piece Red alone, I think, hit a top list
yeah.
for
But like
for
it's
not even just animated films, but for like just films in general.
yeah, I'm pretty sure Japan, like most of their top films are, yep, number 1 is Demon Slayer, number 2 Spirited Away, and number 5 are Your Name. 3 of the top 5 are anime movies, not to mention that number 4 is Frozen, which is also animated. But it's insane to see that like all these anime movies like that are coming out are just like breaking records in Japan, and it's just one of those things that it's even growing in their own country compared to like where it's growing here. So
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's nice to see that it's not just here. It's kind of just being spread even further out to within its own country of where it's made.
and I don't like, I'm not saying this as a definitive statement or anything like that, and we obviously don't live in Japan and experience Japanese culture on a daily basis. But if I had to guess, or if I had to make a hypothetical, like a hypothesis on everything, I would argue that the consumption of anime in the United States has influenced that exponentially as well. Like, because in Japan it was the sign of a similar situation, not to the same degree here when it came to like consuming anime and reading manga and things like that. But if you did it religiously, like if you were really
If you were an otaku,
yeah, which we should define otaku too. It's where you have like a really deep fascination with something. It becomes like a part of your life entirely. Like you're all consumed by it.
it's like your
right?
identity essentially.
Yeah, like that was always like that was a negative thing to be described as was if you were like an otaku. Like that's not a good thing. Right? Weeb was something that was created, I think, on 4chan in the United States. That's not even a Japanese thing. But like that was sort of the equivalent here was like if you're a weeb, it's like, oh gross, like you watch anime, like you consume anime, like that's who you are. You're like the anime nerd. Like weird. Now that shifted here, I think we're seeing also a shift in Japan where it's like it's becoming more normal in US culture and more people are getting introduced to it, and you're starting to see it again permeate all these different markets. That now in Japan it's like, okay, well, it's been a part of Japanese culture for years and years and years, right? It's anime originated, like Japanese animation obviously originated in Japan. Same with manga, which is just Japanese comics, like originated in Japan. Like now those are again sort of like a normalcy. Not in the sense that like it's because it's always been in existence in Japan and it's always been present in Japan, but it's now becoming more normal for like the average business person to also pick up a Shonen Jump weekly or monthly. It's also normal for the high school teens or girl groups to go and watch an anime movie. Like it's not a hobby specific or click specific thing that you have to do only if you're an anime fan. Because if you're like no, the business person doesn't do that. I'm a business person. Like that's me, business. Or like I'm the popular group. I don't associate myself with that. That's gross. No. Now it's like, no, you can. It's acceptable. It's fine.
Yeah,
you won't be judged.
I'm actually
The
reading.
doors have opened.
I'm actually reading a series currently, Wodokoi. It's hard for an otaku to be to find love or something like that. I don't remember the subheading, but Wodokoi is the actual name of the series. And in it was published in 2015, and in it talks about like these business people trying to live their lives and not let their coworkers know that they're absolute fucking otaku, in which one of them draws BL on the DL and fucking the other is a huge cosplayer. One's obsessed with gaming and anime, and the other's just kind of a casual otaku. But it's just like, it's so weird that even the series that was published in 2015, it's just like, I gotta hide this. I can't let everybody know about it. But now it's just like, I don't know if it's still the same or not, but it seems that it's more and more accepted to go out and go see an anime movie or do the things that you like to do. I don't know. It's
Well,
interesting to read that even they shun themselves even there.
yeah. And that is coming out more in anime too. Um, like My Dress Up Darling is a good example of an anime where it's like cosplaying again, one of those areas of a hobby area that is not viewed widely. It's not to say it's not widely accepted, but it's not viewed in like a normal sort of perspective that one wouldn't look at anime. It's like you watch anime, it's okay. If you cosplay too, you're like, okay, you're kind of pushing it, but we'll get by. Like My Dress Up Darling is a good example of showing like, yeah, you can be the popular girl, you can be like the star of the high school, and still have hobbies like this, and it's okay. Granted, they don't go out of their way to be like, Kitagawa brags to her friends about how she cosplays. She kind of keeps it on the DL as well, which hopefully they'll explore that more and more as more volumes come out. But just alone, like showing that whole, yeah, this culture, this hobby, this interest is widely is accepted amongst anyone, no matter your popularity level, no matter your personality traits, whatever it might be. It is okay, and dare I say, completely acceptable for you to cosplay. And like that message is something that you know was not said years and years back.
Yeah.
Like that was something again where you go to the online chat forums and figure out like where the next cosplay event is and like what the best cosplays are and like who you can commission to help you with your cosplays. Like that wasn't something you could just go online and go to Fiverr and help out like design a cosplay or like go to your local hobby shop and talk with the owner about like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this for a cosplay and have them help you, right? Like that wasn't a thing you did before, but now you can. So this whole conversation and everything we're saying is all
Kind of going in circles, but
it's going in circles, but it's just really to showcase and highlight the fact that we've come a long way in introducing and accepting Japanese media in the United States. But for all of you out there being like, yeah, this is like the peak, just know this is most certainly not the peak. Like we are still growing at a very, very rapid pace in terms of how far reaching the influence of anime and Japanese media will infiltrate, American, and westernized media,
yeah.
right? And whether or not you think that it's a good thing or a bad thing is besides the point, but just the fact that it's becoming more prevalent and people are accepting it more is a very refreshing feeling from someone who has had a strong interest in this media for a long time. Like again, I watched it on Toonami. I forced my mom to take me to the Barnes and Noble at my local mall almost on a weekly basis because I didn't know when they fucking came out. But I went and bought the manga for One Piece as they were released. I didn't know when they were released. I would tell her like every week,
Hope
like
and
I need
pray.
to go to Barnes and Noble. Yeah, because you read one, you're like, all right, where's the next one? Like, where's more? I did that for One Piece. I did that for Bleach. Like, I was like, I need more of this. This is cool. This is fun. Did
Yeah,
I bring it to
no.
school? Hell no.
No, you get
Hell no, I could not bring
that
that.
book could be
You're reading
ripped
your
apart.
book. You're reading your book right to left. You fucking demon. What satanic ritual bullshit are you casting upon this class? Like,
Yeah,
no.
just looking at the release schedule for One Piece volumes in the United States, it's like 2003 had 2 releases, then 2004 had 3, then 2005 3, nope,
Yeah, so
4. Yeah, so it's like
2003,
you
I
would
would
get
have
like
been.
3 or 4 a year.
And that makes sense. I was 8 or 9 years old when One Piece was starting to release in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. This is comic book." I watched it on TV because I think the anime had started releasing in like 2000 or 2001 in on Toonami.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Oh yeah, look, it's got a comic book now. I can read it too." And then it was like, "All right, when's the next one? When's the next one?" And I just kept going back and back and back. But yeah,
And now we
now
have
you
over
got
100 volumes.
well, not even that. Like in my Barnes and Noble, I believe it shared a shelf with like the fiction, just in general fiction category. Now I go to a Barnes and Noble and there's like 2 aisles of manga, and I'm like, oh, I shed a tear. I'm like, oh, how far we've come. Look at you. Look at how beautiful you are.
My boy.
I go through the shelves. I just run my hands along the spines.
Like buying a new car.
It's gorgeous.
It's like the new car smell. Just take it all in.
Yeah.
But
It's wonderful. I'm very excited for the years to come. I'm also, again, kind of scared how much it's gonna affect the youth of our world. Because again, I can't imagine going to like my accountant in the future and them just fucking doing the gritty like on the way to their office, sitting down, torture dancing at me, and then like all the time just wearing like a Zorro outfit for some reason. Like
oh my god.
Like that might be too far. That might be too far, but you know.
Well, as long as they don't do the 1,000 years of pain to you, it's fine. Or
That's
whatever
true.
it is from Naruto. I don't know. I've never seen Naruto. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That's what I was going for.
yeah.
It's just like the little stick in the butt, but you know.
Yeah.
As long as they're not doing that to you, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, and that's very frowned upon. Please do not do that for any of you watching it or listening.
You could do it to Tyler, but not me.
Sure. That's you just get consent first.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's nice to see how, how far we've come in this kind of fandom, and it's interesting to see where we'll go because yeah, I mean, in the United States, manga is growing year over year by like so many fucking, like, I think it's like 100% or 200% from like year over year is how big manga is growing, let alone how big anime is growing in the streaming services, etc. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. But thank you all for joining us this week. We do greatly appreciate you joining us. If you listen to this whole show and you want something that's a little bit smaller, we do post TikToks every weekday or most weekdays on our TikTok channel at Baka&Co News. We also have a YouTube channel in which we post all the podcasts via video and post all of our TikToks there as well. So if you want long format and short format, you can find it all over there as well. But until next time, Spark Triumph. We will see you then.